Welcome to Off the Roster, brought to you by our founding partner, ProLine. Betting on ProLine is now easier than ever with their new app. Download it today and make things interesting. I'm Lindsay Dunn, that's Dan Riccio, and that is Cabbie. We appreciate you all joining us wherever it may be in the world. I am still in Miami, and if you haven't already, logged on to YouTube, go to the Nation Network, make sure to subscribe and join the chat. And my goodness, do we have a lot to chat about today. World Baseball Championship game tonight for the World Baseball Classic. Venezuela taking on Team USA, multiple Blue Jays involved. We'll hear from Ernie Clement and Jeff Hoffman in an exclusive interview later today. But we have to talk about the Leafs. The GM meetings happening here in Florida where Brad Treliving spoke, and I have to get right into it because he was asked about the Leafs' future, and here's what he had to say.
We've got a plan to put in place, and we've underperformed this year. And as I said at the trade deadline, there's certainly some changes that we need to make. And all those things are the plan that we're going to formulate moving forward to get this team back to where we think it's capable of being. And so those questions will be answered, and certainly we'll look forward to letting everybody know what our plans are here as we get closer to the end of the season.
Yeah.
Well, Brad,
that's what I have to say to that.
We're excited to hear what the plan is. Okay, like I get it. You know, like the team is having a unexpected outcome to the season, right? Like they expect it to be a playoff team again, and not in a place where they're contemplating how big of a rebuild, retool, whatever it might be. But this is now a couple of situations where after the trade deadline, and also now speaking at these GM meetings, where Brad Treliving has talked about putting a plan in place for the offseason, when I feel like you should already have your plan in place. And it's just, it sounds like somebody, and I guess this is probably where the Leafs are, that isn't quite sure he's going to be the guy that is putting the plan in place for the future of the Maple Leafs. And it speaks to just how uncertain everything is moving forward here for this club.
Excuse me, Dan. I'm the same. I'm just kind of bewildered and anticipating like what this plan will be. Will it be a retool or a full rebuild? Do we know what Brad's future is? There's so many questions with this club, and because things went off the rails, it's just we're all kind of, fans are like, they're calling for pounds of flesh and they're calling for blood and burn it all down. But I'm sure a more measured approach will take place. But we also have no idea what the future holds, and I'm optimistic that big changes will. Big changes. I feel like a retool is coming, not a full rebuild. So I shouldn't say big changes, but some substantial ones will happen with this club.
Yeah, like the idea of rebuild, retool is still very much up in the air, and it's going to depend on whether or not they bring Brad back. The situation with Treliving is he's got a year left on his contract after this one, and most of the Leafs reporters and insiders have kind of speculated like he's not going to be allowed to do the Kyle Dubas thing and going into the final year of his deal without an extension. So if Treliving is staying around, he is staying around and is going to get extended to see a plan through over the next 2, 3, 4 years, whatever that looks like. Or they clean house and Keith Pelley, president of MLSE, is going to choose his own GM, and that GM is probably going to choose the next coach of the Maple Leafs. But, it's kind of getting to that point where you want to have some better plans in place because it's going to be a tough offseason to navigate the narrow path for the Leafs back to contention, and their captain's future kind of depends on it.
You bring up the captain's future. He was already asked about Auston Matthews and his future with the Toronto Maple Leafs, which his contract, he's still got a little bit of time on it. Here is what Treliving had to say from Florida.
Oh, those are things that, Austin's under contract. We'll continue, like we do with all our players, talk about things as we get into the off season. But our focus right now is just, we've got 15 games or so, 14 games ahead of us, and finishing out the year, and then we'll we'll dive into all those issues later.
Yeah, so I feel like those conversations are happening right now. Like, yes, you do. It is factual. You have 15 games left, but more impressing and important conversations are being had right now, and it doesn't involve the end of this particular season because it's a wash. Speaking with the captain, that's got to be priority 1 or 1A, and like gauging what the captain wants to do with his future with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
The whole situation is fascinating. Given what happened last week with Matthews' season coming to an end on that Radko Gudas hit and the lack of response from his teammates, how he feels about that. It was reported yesterday by Elliot Friedman that Brad Treliving was calling players that were on the ice and giving them an earful for how that played out. And it's just like, man, this is maybe even bigger of a situation than I initially thought it was, how the fallout of this whole Radko Gudas thing is playing out. And it's still unfolding. I think Matthews is reevaluating everything as he continues here. Does he want to be a part of a retool if that's what it's going to be here in Toronto for the first time in his career? This is a not competitive hockey team. How long does that last? These are questions only he knows, right? And maybe he's confiding in people around him. But ultimately, it feels, and I went through this over the last 12 months before moving back to Toronto, covering the Vancouver Canucks, like the rhetoric is the exact same as I heard in Vancouver. Quinn's still under contract. He's a big part of our future. We'll have those discussions moving forward. Ultimately, it's kind of scary that you have to have these discussions with your captain, with the pillar of your franchise, because ultimately his decision of whether to stay or go decides what you do as a franchise moving forward. If Auston decides, you know what, maybe this retool thing isn't for me, well, now you're in a full-scale rebuild. So, yeah, one player doesn't make a whole team, but Auston's decision does force the Leafs into a path that's going to take a while to come back from.
Well, it seems everybody is weighing in on the Auston Matthews situation that happened in Toronto, like you mentioned about Gunas' hit on him that has taken Auston Matthews out for the season. And I'm here in Miami for the World Baseball Classic for anyone that is joining us. And during the Team USA games, and yes, tonight they are in the championship game, I'm seeing a lot of Tkachuk jerseys. And let me tell you, if you've watched the show or know this, I'm not a fan of Matthew Tkachuk. But Matthew and his bro Brady, they have a podcast and they addressed what happened with Auston and the lack of response from his teammates on the ice. Here's what they had to say.
Toronto need to be like, this isn't going to fly and we're not going to wait till next game. Like, this is happening right now. Like, screw the point. Like, it's more important in a game like that to stick up for a guy than to actually win, especially when you're that far out of playoffs. Like, I think the code there is like nobody is coming out of that game without getting hit, or at least like a little left jab to the face after that. I mean, there should be a scrum after every single whistle, but I don't know. I think Brady and I are pretty old school in the way we think. I mean, me and Brady would not have lasted that game.
There's a lot to take and unpack from that clip. Yeah, it is a pretty telling clip that you can take a couple of ways, where Dan actually brought this up earlier. So I'm like, do we want to address the fact, what the Tkachuk brothers said, that, hey, they're kind of out there actively recruiting Auston? Like, how quickly after do you think that they texted him to be like, we would have had your back. We would have had your back if you were on our team.
It's I'm trying not to read too much into it, but I'm reading too much into it. Like, let's be honest. Like, these guys just won a gold medal with Auston Matthews. They went on a 3-day bender with him afterwards. Everybody in Team USA's camp was raving about how good of a captain Matthews was, how much of a leader he was, how he sacrificed his offense to play defense for the team and do the things that he needed to do to help Team USA to a gold medal. And now they're saying, and following up, reacting to this situation, like, that would have never happened if I was a teammate of Auston Matthews. Like, that just cannot happen. I don't know how Auston feels about it, but if that were me, I'd be pretty pissed. if that's how my teammates responded to something like that for me. And so, yeah, I get it. It's Brady saying it, not Auston Matthews, but I can't imagine that there isn't some form of correlation, that they haven't talked to Auston about the situation, and maybe that's bleeding into a little bit of the conversation. I feel like there is something to read into this. And the NHL is never going to go full NBA with how players around the league recruit each other, but there's definitely it feels like a recruitment process that is starting to happen around Auston Matthews' future now that it's kind of becoming at least a bit of a conversation with him 2 years out from unrestricted free agency.
Man, I am really excited to hear when we talk about teammates, our own teammate. Of course, I'm talking about Nick, who is the host and director of Leafs Morning Take. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
How are you guys?
Round of applause.
What's up? Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
I'm the only one who wore green today, Nick. I don't know what's going on.
I have green on my dress. I'm very much Irish, so
Close
I
enough.
love this day. Yeah, but I cannot wait
Lindsay
to
Dunn.
hear your takes on this. Yes. When we go to the Tkachuk brothers weighing in on this, you have Connor McDavid that has weighed in on the hit of Auston Matthews to just there's a conversation about how Leafs players reacted. Hearing that from the Tkachuk brothers saying like, hey, there's no way they would have been not in the penalty box or stuck out in that locker room after. What do you take about this conversation and the fallout from what happened?
My initial response is everybody's obsessed with Toronto and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, here we go again, where they just can't stop talking about the Maple Leafs and stuff that happens to the Toronto Maple Leafs. I understand that it's a big topic du jour, and everybody wants to weigh in on the Leafs not responding against Radko Gudas last week. I mean, let's be frank about it. What Brady Tkachuk said, we all know, and we've all been saying for the last week anyways, so I don't know why it brings merit now because it's Brady Tkachuk, not even Matthew Tkachuk, who says it. So I didn't read too much into it. We all know the Leafs didn't respond the way you should, especially when your captain goes down. So I think we just move past this. We understand that this organization needs to make massive, massive changes personnel-wise. Because let's not forget, I know this topic is massive right now in this market because of the recency, but this has happened multiple times in the last decade, and I think it's pretty clear now what the issue is with this team.
Well, you bring up the changes. The NHL GM meetings are happening here in Florida, where Treliving brought up, the changes that they're going to have, and we're going to learn their plan for the Maple Leafs. As someone that has covered this Leafs for a long time, do you believe in a plan and changes and a directive from Treliving going forward?
Yeah, so I watched the what he had to say yesterday. He said nothing. It was lawyer speak. He's been saying the same thing since the trade deadline. There is no plan. Like, I don't understand what instituting a plan means. There is no plan right now. I think it goes without saying, like, we're going to hear everything, all the buzzwords, all the buzz phrases that we want to hear when it comes to the GM. And then number two, I don't even know if he knows if he's going to be the GM of this team, which I think is just really, really confusing to begin with, because I think if you're going to have him run your trade deadline, he better damn well be your GM. So there's so many layers, so many moving parts to this whole thing. They say this every year when they lose, and this year's a bit different because it's not Game 7 of a series against the Florida Panthers, whoever else they lose to in Game 7. It's them missing the playoffs for the first time in a decade. So I'll believe it when I see it. And I think change for most people, like, that's going to be a big topic in the offseason. What does change mean to us, the fan base and the media? And that means moving a big piece. It doesn't mean working around the edges again and picking up another Dakota Joshua or Matias Maccelli. So I'm very, very curious what the game plan is. But yeah, I didn't read too much either into what Brad Treliving had to say yesterday. It was lawyer speak. He said absolutely nothing, guys.
Yeah, he said nothing, and like the idea that there's still a plan that hasn't been put in place, it just tells you, yeah, like as you mentioned, I don't even know if I'm going to have a job beyond this year. It's been brought up, he's got a year left on his deal, so the conversation of like it's either he's moving on or they're moving on from him, or he's getting an extension so that he doesn't go into a lame duck situation like they had with Kyle Dubas. It just feels like this has gone so off the rails that you need a new plan, you need a new directive, and this is going to be Keith Pelly's chance to put his guy in place, and whoever that guy is going to put his coach in place.
Yeah, definitely. And I should just add too, like, I think I'm as guilty as anybody else. Like, I'll be honest, coming into this season, I wasn't a big Mitch Marner guy. I thought it was time to move on, and I thought this team was in a really good place. I liked the additions they made, but I mean, this was the Joey Gallo of off seasons. I mean, pardon, one of the best strikeout kings in MLB history, but like Treliving missed on everything last summer, and that's definitely not going to help when you're trying to build a perennial contender. But the one thing I'm really lost in, Reach, is like they've lost the plot. Like the goal is to make the Stanley Cup playoffs. Like I feel like they're going backwards now. So you want to be Boston next year. I don't understand where David Pastrnak or Jeremy Swayman or even Charlie McAvoy, for that matter, are coming from. This team does not possess any of those types of players. And that's the first thing. And number two, like just making the playoffs, what's that going to do? I think the plot has been winning the Stanley Cup the last decade. They've got nowhere close. So it just seems like a confusing time with this organization. No direction, no leadership. I think it starts in the top with Keith Pelly and works its way down. And I just want to see some clarity at some point in time. Nobody wants to do a postmortem right now, but we will definitely do so in about 15 games here.
You know, it's nice. I said it yesterday. It's nice to see the team showing a little bit of grinta, even though it's a little bit too late. You know, they
Sure.
they started playing. They played a little bit hard after the Matthews injury and everything that happened there. They got shamed by it a little bit, it seems, and now they're playing with more heart than we've seen all season. But it's kind of ruining the idea of them falling far enough to maybe keep their pick for this year. What side of the ledger are you on? Tank for the best possible pick, or try to win as many games as you can to give Boston the worst pick possible?
Just to add to what you're saying first, I thought it was really embarrassing the way they came out over the weekend. I think it reinstilled the point they're not playing for their coach anymore. To answer your question, I think there's no winning here. I think if you miss on the pick this year, or you get the top 5 pick, I should say, this year, then you're pushing everything down the road. And I'm in the committee that I don't think this team is improving anytime soon. So you're just avoiding the inevitable of Boston's getting a really good pick. So is Philadelphia. It scares the hell out of me. It would be kind of cool to get that initial boost, at least right now, of a top 5 pick, see how it fits, see who they pick up, whether it's a Keaton Verhoff, a Gavin McKenna or somebody else. Just to like that's the scary thing about this whole thing, and my fallout from the deadline too. There's nobody you can attach to. They picked up no assets in terms of actually name value right now. They're all assets. So that's concerning too. And like now the fact that we're in the final stretch of games and Bo Grew, a 26-year-old, is the topic, and everybody's behind this guy. It's really confusing. It's a disappointing time with this fan base. It just seems like there's no clarity. So yeah, I think either way it goes, I think it's just I hate even thinking about those two trades. I think they're fireable offenses, quite frankly.
Shout out to Bo Grew, by the way. Nick, good morning. Okay, so the New York Islanders are in town tonight to play the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Islanders aren't known for firing off hot takes like their Hall of Fame coach, Patrick Roy. They were asked recently about their favorite or current TV shows that they're watching when they're not watching hockey. Have a look.
I got 3 of them.
Okay.
I got The Office,
Okay.
Friends, and How I Met Your Mother.
I'm just going to go for all the Friends. I watch it with my parents.
We're watching All Our Fault. The Office.
The Office?
Right now, Lincoln Lawyer.
Okay, so for the audio audience, Bo Horvat said The Office, Friends, How I Met Your Mother, the shows he's watching. Matthew Schaefer said Friends. JP Pajot said All Her Fault. Andre Palat said The Office. Carson Soucy said The Office. And Anders Lee said Lincoln Lawyer. Nick, when you are not forcing yourself to watch Toronto Maple Leafs games, what are you streaming or binging? And are any of them the same shows that those specific New York Islanders are watching?
You guys are gonna laugh. I have weird taste.
Let's go,
Euphoria's
bro.
on that list. Euphoria's
Excellent
on that list.
show.
Bridgerton. I've been
Wow.
mucking.
Was not
Bridgerton
expecting
lately.
Bridgerton.
Yeah, I
Not
watched
gonna
it.
lie.
And then the other thing is, like, I love trashy reality TV, like Love Island All Stars. I'm watching that right now. I'm cramming that. It's like a billion
The
episodes.
Love
I have
Island
weird
All
taste.
Stars.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I have weird taste. Like, Yeah, those are my
Okay,
answers.
well, your taste may not be that weird because I don't know how well you know Dan Riccio or Lindsay Dunn, aka Grandma Dunn. Dan and Lindsay, would you like to share with Nick the shows that you are watching when you aren't forcing yourself to watch the remaining 14 or 15 Toronto Maple Leafs games in this season?
Right now, for me, it's Industry. Industry
great show.
has got my fix.
Phenomenal.
At this moment. It is impressive. It's Industry is my show right now.
Lindsay?
Oh yeah, I'm watching Entourage, but it's for the first time,
yes.
so I miss. Yeah, that shows. And then, no surprise to anybody around here is that I'm all my comfort watch, The Golden Girls. But let me tell you, that show, it is wild. It is wild, and many fireable offenses for the writers who wrote a lot of those storylines back in the day. There's some shock factor there.
Great call.
Gabby, you
There's
gotta
one.
answer this.
I'm with Dan. I'm watching Industry. It's great writing, fantastic. It's very like dense finance talk, and it's but the acting and the writing is outstanding. And there's so much backstabbing. It's a great show. Golden Girls. I'm sorry, Nick. We're gonna get back to you in just a second. There's a clip that resurfaced like a few months ago on IG or Twitter where Burt Reynolds makes a guest appearance, and Burt Reynolds was like, "Anyway, this is not important." Anyway, it was a great moment because Burt Reynolds comes into the thing. He's like, "Which one's the slut?" And then I can't remember who puts their hands up, but like,
I'm sorry.
Blanche, but you can't get away with that in 2026.
You cannot.
Whether it was Golden Girls or Love
Absolutely.
Island, I don't know. They kind of sound.
That's
Good show, I'm telling
Nick,
you guys.
who's the slut on Love Island? I
I
can't believe I just said that word. I'm so sorry, Mom.
I watched the UK one. It's fantastic. It is so good to get your mind off this terrible Maple Leafs team. So it's great. It's food.
Okay, so speaking of this terrible Maple Leafs team, they sit 7th in the Atlantic Division. Is the plan? And you spoke about like Treliving, Brad, GM Treliving doesn't really have a plan. Do you think the plan for the Toronto Maple Leafs for the rest of the season is just to play spoiler for the other teams in the Eastern Conference? They play the Islanders twice, they play the Senators twice, and they play the Capitals once the remainder of the season.
Yeah, so let's preview this game tonight. I'm bringing out the red carpet for Matthew Schaefer. You know why? Because I want to start quickly and early when it comes to luring this guy to Toronto in 8-9 years or whenever it is. This guy's from Hamilton, Ontario. It came out yesterday that he was actually at Game 7 last year against the Florida Panthers at Scotiabank Arena with Tyler Hopkins, who's actually a Maple Leafs draft pick. So that's where I'm starting. It starts tonight in getting Matthew Schaefer, who is the number 1 overall pick from last year. He's going to win the Rookie of the Year. It starts tonight. I've been wondering about this question. I just want to see this team play with pride. I'm very disappointed. Like, you're the Toronto Maple Leafs and your captain goes down and there's absolutely no response. So just play with pride down the stretch. I think they've made their bed. It's time to lie in it. It's been a disappointing season. First time in a decade they're not going to miss the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I think there's going to be change. I think they've lost their coach's job. Craig Berube, I think, is going to get canned. The GM might get canned as well. I mean, I'm not sugarcoating things. It's not going to be pretty. But just be involved in the game. Play like you actually want to be there. Like, that's the big story for me. That goes back the first 25, 30 games of the season. The Leafs look so disinterested. I don't know what it was. Maybe they're sulking over their boy being in Vegas or something, but they didn't want to be on the ice. And it's confusing when you charge $400 a ticket where you're supposed to play hockey. So, I know they want to write letters and this and that to season ticket holders and complain about injuries, but no, it wasn't injuries. It was guys not playing. That included the captain, that included Willie Nylander. So much disinterest. So act like you want to be there. Show me you want to be there for the last couple games of this season.
Yeah, and it's nice to see both Stolars and Wall finally healthy and playing up to their standard. Stolars looked like a Martin Gerber the other night. It was crazy, just ruining the tank for everybody. But kidding aside, I had somebody say to me yesterday, "Oh, like the Leafs should just like try to do the Islanders thing." It's like, what's the Islanders thing? Like, get the first overall pick randomly out of like when finishing like what did they finish 10th last year? 10th last, jump up, win the lottery, and get a generational defenseman, a guy who's putting up an 18-year-old season like we've never seen before. We have to remember, like, not every first overall pick is created equal, and it's not like this isn't the Pittsburgh plan that Brian Burke was talking about emulating all those years ago, or was terrible to emulate. It's the Islanders fluked it, and they got incredibly lucky to get Schaefer. This isn't a blueprint you can exactly follow if you're the Maple Leafs.
No, I mean, there's no science behind this thing. And on top of that, they've traded all their draft picks. On top of that, there's actually nothing in free agency this summer. That's why I'm probably in the group that's like, I rather use the word rebuild. They're never going to use that word, at least anytime soon in this market. But Dan, it's so relatable to a market you were working in almost for the last decade, and that's Vancouver, where they didn't just want to adopt the rebuild. It took a couple of years. Now they're rebuilding. It's like we all know the inevitable where it's going, not to mention Auston Matthews this summer will be 2 years away from UFA status. We just talked about the Tkachuks. I saw an article from Michael Russo, who covers the Minnesota Wild, with a picture of Auston Matthews. They're going to start tampering a bit. Like the whole league is going to try to get this guy out of Toronto. So be it. I mean, everything I've been saying anyways, I think it's time for a massive change. That includes all hands on deck. You want Willie, you want Auston. I'm open to that conversation because I think we're losing track of the constant in this market the last 10 years. It's been the core. They haven't been able to win with the core. Everybody's talking about a Stanley Cup. They've won 2 playoff series in a decade. It is time for change. So I think everybody wants to jump to conclusions and wants to correlate it to something, whether it's Boston from this year or the New York Islanders from last year and trying to find their way. It's not that easy. If it was that easy, teams would do it all the time.
Yeah, it's so true. I know you and Jay are probably on like the clear the decks and make way for Connor McDavid to sign here in a couple of years' time.
Yeah.
But that's for Leafs Morning Take. Final one for you. Auston Matthews. His 2 years it's a big conversation, but one name that's popped up more recently is Matias Maccelli, apparently getting walked to free agency. Maybe the Leafs won't qualify him this year. He's picked it up here in the second half of the season, and with so little in free agency this summer, what do you think the Leafs should do with Matias Maccelli?
This is plagiarism. I said this a month ago. I'm letting this guy walk. See you later, Matias. We were laughing on the show because like the games don't matter and Matias Maccelli shows up. I don't think he fits the DNA, whatever that is, of this Maple Leafs team. I think the qualifying offer would be $4.1 million. I'm not interested in that. I don't view him as a top 6 player. I don't know what he is. Again, another prime example of Joey Gallo. What a strikeout. Third round pick. Again, I always wonder when teams are so quick to trade these players, why they're looking to trade these players. I had the same question when St. Louis put Robert Thomas, quote unquote, on the block here at the trade deadline. Obviously, it didn't happen. But I was wondering the same thing last summer where Bill Armstrong, widely regarded as one of the best up-and-coming GMs in this league, was open to moving Matias Maccelli. We found out the answer this season. So, yeah, I'm in the committee. If they were going to move him, somebody would have grabbed him here at the deadline. Nobody wanted him. I think that'll remain the case in the summer, and you move on from that. I just rather take that cap space and allocate it somewhere else when it comes to Maccelli.
Always bringing the fire when you join us. It's always an honor to speak to the director and host of Leafs Morning Take. But did you by chance, see the social media photo we put out of you announcing that you were on the show today? Did you see it?
I didn't. What was it?
Okay, so you have the biggest smile I've ever seen on your face because you're always like rocking. Now. Yeah, because when we have you on, you talk about Leaves, which has been doom and gloom. So while you're looking this up, I want to know if this is your reaction and the joy you have when you're watching Bridgerton or Love Island All-Stars.
No, World Baseball Classic. I've been really into that. You guys know I'm a big baseball guy. Okay, so these were like the stock photos
for our Italians, eh?
Oh, I couldn't even. I was into the
Michael Lorenzen. The guy's not even Italian. I don't know. He blew the game for us.
Shame on Pete Alonso. I'm saying it right now because I know he's having a baby. He didn't want to be there, but I mean, the Italians really could have used him. So from this picture, it's the stock photos that we took on Picture Day in September, but I mean, if I had it my way, there would be more picture, more direction. I don't like the way they turned out. So that's just me. Let's do a little laugh. And that's the one that was selected. Not to shit on the company, but
hey, just so you know, I told them when I saw them, I'm like, you're not using any of those photos of me. No. So at least let's
just say that one's not ending up on my Bumble profile, guys. Okay, it's definitely not.
Yes. Hey, you're about to have a hot boy summer, bro. 2026. Let's go there.
Or your Love Island application. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Thanks for your time today. Make sure to catch the show Leafs Morning Take in I think about 30 minutes time. Thanks so much, Nick.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
See you, man.
Shout out to our company for taking photos of us in the first place. That is nice. We're having a photo shoot coming up. None of us have photos together, so that'll be great. But when we talk about the Leafs, there's so many storylines, and I do want to talk about what potentially could be the next big thing, brought to you by Coca-Cola. The excitement of the FIFA World Cup 26 is bubbling up in every fan and every can of Coke. It's coming, and nothing can contain the joy and passion. Okay, they get it. So purchase a can of Coca-Cola and you can score FIFA World Cup 26 VIP experiences. Go to the URL in the description. No purchase necessary for Canadian residents only. You must be 13 or older and with a web device.
Ends April 20th. Math skill test required.
Rules at cokeurl.com/soccerrulesca.
I see that. Guys, when it comes to the Toronto Maple Leafs, do you think Easton Cowan is the next big thing?
The Leafs need him to be the next big thing. You know, he's had a pretty solid rookie season as a 20-year-old drafted in the latter half of the first round. You know, you can't always project those guys to be a superstar, but he's had a really strong season for the Maple Leafs. He stayed up for the most part. Maybe there was a bit of a rookie wall there, but still putting up good numbers. And really, when you break it down and you look by his minutes per game rather than just points per game, he's actually put up one of the better numbers of the Maple Leafs, points per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. So the 8 goals, it may not jump off the page at you, but it really is a solid rookie season for Easton Cowan, and you can keep projecting him to play into a bigger role for years to come.
Listen, before stepping on the ice, Easton Cowan conquered the OHL. He was the first player to lead the Mem Cup in scoring in back-to-back years in 2025. He hoists the Stafford Smythe Trophy as the MVP of the Memorial Cup with the London Knights. And with Toronto, he's shown some versatility playing up with Auston Matthews and bringing some energy on the bottom six. He also has a flair for the dramatic, a nice game-winning goal against Philadelphia about 10 weeks ago, 2-1. John Tavares on the break leads to 2-on-1. Just he waits patiently, and then Cowan buries a wrist shot. So far in his career, he's won at every level. Now playing in the pressure cooker of Toronto, whether he is a part of a retool or a rebuild, he will be one of the faces of this hockey club. So I think the future is bright for Easton Cowan, and I agree. He will be the next big thing.
And he's a big thing when it comes to bringing hope to this organization. So we can count on that. A lot of people hopeful that he will have a big impact on the Toronto Maple Leafs. We'll see what happens tonight in their game against the Islanders. And here in Miami, huge game. It is a World Baseball Classic championship game between Venezuela and USA. Let me tell you, this is the talk of the town. And so many people were hoping for Italy to make it through. At the ballpark yesterday, the Venezuelan people, after their country beat Team Italy, were celebrating for hours. It is the first time that they've booked their ticket to the championship game. And it was just intense. It was exciting. You just could feel Lindsay, the culture. And yes.
How loud was it in there?
I still feel like I can't hear.
When they tied the game at 2-2 on a fielder's choice. Yeah. And it looked like the camera was going to fall over and break. It was shaking so much. So I need to know, how loud was it in that ballpark?
I'm trying to think if it was louder when Addison Barger hit the grand slam in the World Series, which I was lucky enough to be in there. I actually think it might have been a little bit louder, and that is not taking anything away. That's just how crazy it was, because you had all of the noisemaker. The ground was shaking. You couldn't hear anybody beside you or around you for the best way possible. Everyone was so exciting. Food was flying. Beer cans were flying. The flags were up. It was such a fun experience to be a part of. I felt bad for the Italy fans that were there, because they obviously were so excited and had so much hope going into that, because their team was 5-0 in the World Baseball Classic. But it was so intense. Like, the hair on my arms is standing up right now just because I'm reliving that moment. But yeah, if you could feel that on TV, you couldn't hear anything. And then after, it's just like the chants, the floor, the streets around felt like they were moving, because everyone was dancing and singing. And I am not sure if that will be the outcome tonight. USA is such a tough team. We were at practice yesterday just watching Schwarber, Judge, Bobby Witt Jr. and all of them, they were just hitting bomb after bomb after bomb. And I understand it is BP during, kind of a practice day, so it doesn't have the same intensity, but just watching how strong their batting order is and then watching the pitchers warm up. I laugh because Tyler Rogers of the Toronto Blue Jays, he's also there. You have Jeff Hoffman, and just watching him do a sidearm submarine pitch, another pitcher having to catch that in the outfield was something to watch. But you have Paul Skeens, all of them. Like, this is a massive lineup, and Venezuela are heavy underdogs going into there, and if we add in the politics happening between those countries right now, it is going to be electric inside the ballpark, and I can't wait to experience it. But for you guys, who do you think will win, and maybe who do you want to win?
Well, I love cheering on a good Cinderella story, so let's go with Venezuela for tonight. I mean, seeing what it meant to those fans last night, how could you not want that, especially given the situation? So yeah, I'm on Team Venezuela tonight. Let's see what they can do, and hopefully Ronald Acuna can bring it home for the Venezuelans.
Same. I'm with you. Italy was the Cinderella team. They took that slipper, threw it against the wall while they're celebrating, having a fiesta. It would have been incredible to be at Lone Depot Field or Park, whatever it's called, last night. Venezuela's got some hitters too. Acuna, Garcia, Eugenio Suarez, who homered last night. I understand that they're underdogs, but I'm rooting for Venezuela. And even without the geopolitical tensions between the countries, I love a good underdog story. And also, any chance I can get to root against the United States, shout out to Willie Styles in the chat, I will do so. So Venezuela for me tonight in the WBC.
On Venezuela, we have Toronto Blue Jay Andres Jimenez, who a lot of excitement. He, hasn't played some of the games. He got in yesterday. You saw how fast he was. He was hit by pitch during the World Baseball Classic. And then on Team USA, you have Tyler Rogers, Jeff Hoffman, Ernie Clement. And yes, that is the 4 Toronto Blue Jays that will be taking part in the World Baseball Classic here in Miami. And I had the chance to quickly speak with both Ernie Clement and Jeff Hoffman, but we'll start off with Ernie Clement first. Ernie, we are in Miami where it's currently around 30 degrees outside. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. You're the only guy wearing a toque here right now.
Yeah, I got to pay my respects to, my brothers up north with the toque, a Canadian at heart. But, it's been an honor to represent the United States. I'm a proud American, and it's been such a cool experience, but got to pay homage to the boys up north.
Love it. We know you're a proud American. This experience, so, when you start off, a little bit of training camp with them to actually being here, wearing it on your chest, what has it been like, and hang out with guys that you're competing with at a different level?
Yeah, it's been special. It's really an honor, and, I've, watched a lot of these guys from afar and played against a lot of them, so just to be sharing a clubhouse with them has been a great experience. It's been awesome. It's been really, really cool.
Any Jays fans, anybody that watches MLB, they know you played in the World Series already. But when you had a pinch run and the game, taking on DR, it was a close score. What was the emotions like when you got into the game?
Yeah, I was fired up. I forgot for a second that it was Vladdy that was going to be the guy over at first base, and I saw him, and I looked at him, and I was like, oh my God. And he looked at me and was like, dude, this is so cool. And I was like, your team is just awesome. Like, this is just so fun to play against them, and the atmosphere was incredible.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. For me, this is my first time ever covering the World Baseball Classic. To see the fans with all of the instruments and just cheering for every pitch.
That's our girl.
Every pitch. What has it been like for you? Because you've experienced baseball at the highest level to now experience World Baseball Classic fans.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, everybody keeps saying oh, this is cooler than the World Series, but I don't think anybody got to play in Toronto during the World Series because that was incredible, and the energy there was amazing. So this has been really special, and it gets about as close to that as it could possibly be. It's especially last night with the Dominican crowd, and there was a good turnout for USA fans, but I think we were outnumbered by a little bit. But it was amazing. It was amazing.
A couple USA fans, including your Blue Jays teammate Miles Straw. Did you have a chance to see him after, or did he hit you up with 1,000 texts?
He was texting us before the game, letting us know he was going to come, but we didn't get to see him. We got done so late. We didn't get home till 1:30 in the morning. So it was A little later when you play those 8 o'clock games, but awesome to get the support from the boys.
Can we get one bark for the people back home?
Yeah.
Dog. Yeah, I didn't know that there was some backlash towards Ernie. He had a comment when he was in Houston just talking about Team Canada, Team USA's hockey game. And so you can see that kind of in that answer without me prompting him. He's like, I'm a proud U.S. citizen. It's like, come on, people. If anybody knows Ernie, the man means no harm. We understand he is from America. He's an honorary Canadian that plays for Canada's only Major League Baseball team. But I did like that he brought up that because Judge and a bunch of the guys were saying how playing in this World Baseball Classic, comparing it to the World Series, that the World Baseball Classic was better. So when he brought up Rogers Stadium, like, yeah, let's go, Ernie, let's go.
Yeah, Ernie knows what's up. That the crowd at Rogers Center is as good as any crowd as you'll find.
Also, one thing, what would Aaron Judge or Bobby Witt Jr. know about playing in the World Series?
I know. I know. When he said that comment the other day, I was like, why is he talking about that? And I was like, there's a couple New York writers here that I'm terrified of because I have seen them like have public freakouts on security members here. That I'm like, I'm not going to say anything in response to what Aaron Judge just said at all. But yeah, there's a lot of excitement and talk about Team USA, obviously, and their lack of excitement and celebration. So it was fun when Ernie and Vladdy had that moment during the game versus DR where they kind of patted each other in the back and talked to each other, because we know that for the most part has not been the storyline surrounding Team USA in opposing countries when it comes to the World Baseball Classic. But Jeff Hoffman, he is also in the rotation and lineup for Team USA. I had the chance to quickly catch up with him. When did you get the call that you were going to come here from Dunedin?
I got the call right after the quarterfinals. So that night, I was already sleeping. I woke up because my phone was ringing. And they said, hey, can you meet us here in Miami? And I said, absolutely. I've kind of been waiting for that call. So, yeah, super excited to be here.
So you get the call, you're here, putting on the jersey for the first time, being here even for practice. What has this experience been like?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a dream come true. It's a really hard roster to crack. We have so many good players that come from our country, and I'm really I'm proud and lucky to be here. So it's been awesome sharing the clubhouse with so many of these guys, and guys that I compete against every single night, and guys that are really hard to get out. And it's really cool to see baseball in this type of capacity. When you break it up different, like it's not team by team, it's country by country, and it's a really cool way to play the game. And hopefully they get the Olympics figured out so that we can do it more often and get to do this type of format more often. And it's just a lot of fun to go out and get to compete with your fellow countrymen.
Yeah, you get the call up here, you talk about with your countrymen, but yesterday against Vladdy, you see him have the moment at first with Ernie, just in this scenario, taking on your current teammates. Is it kind of funny, kind of fun, or stressful where, we saw Cal, you don't look, you don't shake hands?
Right. No, I mean, it's definitely stressful when you're talking about a guy like Vladdy. I mean, especially from a pitcher standpoint, we got to go and try to get that guy out, and obviously he's a great player, and, he's amazing. So it's fun, it's weird, it's ultra competitive, all kind of in the same breath. So it's definitely an experience that I'll never forget, and I'm happy that I get to just do it.
Real quick, Lindsay, great conversation with Jeff Hoffman, and it's great to hear that both Jeff and Ernie embraced their teammate, their Blue Jay team, even though they played each other. Unlike Cal Raleigh, who's like Mr. Friggin'. I don't know. I don't even know.
He said hi to the media yesterday. I'll say that.
Cal Raleigh did?
Like, what? Yeah, I was like, hello. You'll say hi to us?
Say hi to a baseball. Why don't you go hit one, bro? You're like 0 for 9 or whatever. But huge mistake on my part. Aaron Judge did play in the World Series in 2024, a World Series that Yankees fans would likely want to forget. Shout out to Freddie Freeman, whose mom is Canadian, who won the MVP for the Dodgers in 24. I can't believe I said that. What would he know about the World Series, bro? You just played and won 2 years ago.
But there were other guys that there were no. Like I knew what you're saying, because there's other guys who have not played in the World Series on Team USA who have said that so far in the last couple of days. So I kind of enjoy. I like that you said that, but I'm going to go with both of us in that moment. We're going with there was quite a few players that have said this is better than the World Series, and they have in fact not been there. But yes, Yankees fans would love to forget about that. We will see what happens tonight in the World Baseball Classic, and who will be popping champagne bottles after? I am not sure. Will the Raptors be popping champagne bottles at the end of the season? I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting.
No. I would love to see that happen.
Talk about a Cinderella story.
Oh,
might want to put a futures play on that if you feel good about it, but just throwing that out.
I like
you probably
that.
Get good odds.
I will do that. I'm going to do that with your money. So yeah, Raptors are in Chicago tomorrow to take on the Bulls, who definitely will not be popping bottles at the end of the season, maybe to celebrate the fact that the season is over. That could be a thing. But yesterday was the Raptors fan day at Scotiabank Arena. Maybe you're watching or listening and you attended it. It's a fun day where the Raptors are on the court. They have a little competition. They also have dogs on the court, and I missed it, but that's okay. I have a cool assignment as it is. But they had a 3-point competition. Let's just take a little look at some of the video of them hitting some 3 balls where, all of their teammates are around them. They're cheering them on. So that's Sandro Melikashvili. Look at
He's
draining
hitting some
threes.
threes finally.
Brady
That's
Dick.
nice.
Yeah. Oh, look at that form. G-Tab. And look at all the players around. They're cheering for them. There's excitement. And yeah, Jacoby Walter. Now you see this. You have them, like I mentioned, everybody is surrounding them if you are not watching and you're listening. So they're in close quarters. There's a lot of anticipation and pressure, I'm going to say. And then if you look at the results, so Jamal Shed ended up winning this. So shout out to our guy, Will Liu.
Wow.
Yeah, it is a great belt. Will Liu, who is the co-host of Hello and Welcome, a fantastic Raptors podcast, he put up the 3-point competition score. So you have Melikashvili with 18, Brady with 16, Jacoby and Jamal had 21, and battle at 18. You look at those numbers, and all I'm thinking is, guys, hit those during the game. Hit a quarter of those.
Yes. Hit a few more, maybe.
Yes, especially Mamu, bro. When you're so wide open in that. God, who do they play in? Not Phoenix. Who do they just play? I'm having a brain freeze. The Pistons. Yeah. Bro had at least 3 wide open Jays. Maybe this helps. Maybe this competition in front of 5,000 8-year-olds and the pressure, whatever pressure that brings, will help in Chicago tomorrow as they go into play the United Center and not so great Bulls team. Although Josh Giddey is legit. Bro had a triple-double last night.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we all hope that maybe they need to have more 3-point contests just so guys can see the ball going in, and that could just carry over into the game where it counts.
Yeah, I love it. That is such a fun day. The Leafs have a similar event, and that is tomorrow. I don't know, Thursday. It's Thursday. I don't know what day it is. But, Dan, I cannot remember for the life of me who Will Liu said RJ Barrett's favorite Raptor was of all time. So can you set it up for the people?
Well, Will Liu asked RJ Barrett, obviously Canadian kid, grew up watching the Raptors, who his favorite, off the radar, deep cut Raptor is of all time. And here's what RJ had to say.
Do you have any favorite obscure Raptors? Not the popular picks, the deep cuts, the only Raptors.
Yeah, I liked Sonny Weems a lot when I was younger.
Young Guns?
Yeah. Sonny Weems and Amir Johnson. I always liked Amir Johnson. Yeah, guys like that.
We all like Amir Johnson. But, man, that was a deep cut.
That's great. I wonder if he was just picking. He's just choosing an obscure Raptor. Because do you remember anything about Sonny Weems?
No,
he had some moves in the mid range. That's maybe the one thing I can remember about Sonny Weems. He had a couple of games as a Raptor where he was like, "Wow, this is impressive. There's some talent here." And then but it never all came together, consistently. So yeah. I could see it. I could see why RJ was like, "Yeah, Sonny Weems."
I cannot, but I think that is fun.
Who was the other Young Guns? I think they were branded as the Young Guns. There was a third who do you guys remember who was it? Was it Kyle? No, I don't think Kyle was part of that. Anyway,
no, it wasn't Kyle.
Well, who would be your guys' deep cut Raptor favorite? Your favorite Raptor that is a deep cut, however you want to phrase it.
I mean, there's so many to choose from. I don't know if it's even, this is probably not even that deep of a cut, but like when Jose Calderon would hit a three and then he'd put his hands up like this, I don't like it was a vibe. Like Jose Calderon had his best years as a Raptor. He was my guy for a bit, and who didn't love watching Jose Calderon?
He was great. If you like attended games, you just see how expressive he was on his face.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
loved watching him as well. You wouldn't see it on the broadcast, but just like how he was trying to use body language to communicate things to his teammates. He was like super expressive, almost like a cartoon, but in like the most flattering of ways. My deep cut, this isn't that deep of a cut, but it's PJ Tucker, who only played, checks notes, 41 games with the Toronto Raptors. He had his rookie season, and then he was brought in the 2017 season to help contain LeBron James along with Damari Carroll and I suppose Patrick Patterson. It didn't work because LeBronto, I mean, in the playoffs, bro was 10-0 against us. But the sneaker god, PJ Tucker, is my deep cut as a favorite Raptor from the B side. Lindsay, who's your guy?
Ooh, so both of those I like, and I feel like maybe my cut is too deep, but Luis Scola from the 2015-2016 Raptors, Argentina's own. Luis Scola. Yeah, he played, I think, around 75 games. I don't know. He actually played quite a few games for them, and I think he averaged just under 9 points. But I just remember him, and the reason why he's my favorite is maybe not complimentary to him, because my nickname for him was Turtle. He had like the slowest run to get down the court to try to block a shot. I was like, he was one of the most entertaining players to watch. And it's the same reason that I like watching Alejandro Kirk, who's actually like pretty fast, but just the way that he runs. I'm like, this is entertaining all day, every day, but maybe you don't want that if Scola was on your team as a Raptor. But yeah, very random, I know. I'm sorry.
Much different body types, too. Yeah. Luis Scola, who was like 6'9" or 6'10", and Alejandro Kirk was like 5'5".
Yeah, I know, he's my height.
5'5" and a little heavier set. He's got the catcher's build, as we know.
He's voluptuous.
Shout out to the chat coming up with some good names. Mo Pete, everybody loves Mo Pete.
Yeah,
Am Chow with Gennaro Pargo. That's more of a random Raptor than anything else. And Clayton shouting out the great Linus Kleza, who we can all remember.
Wow,
very,
that
very well.
is a deep cut. Holy, I was gonna say Jamario Moon was also Gennaro Pargo is a deeper cut, but Jamario Moon he might even be on the A side. I think he had did he appear in a slam dunk contest for Toronto? I remember he had hops, but I can't remember if he.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Not that I remember.
I don't remember. He could have and should have. But yeah, those are some deep cuts. Thank you to the chat for participating in this. And my question for you and the chat as well is that it's being reported, let me make sure I got the facts right, that the NBA Board of Governors will vote on an expansion to Seattle and Las Vegas next week. It could be finalized as early as the end of the year. And it's being reported also expansion fee is anywhere between $7 and $10 billion. So if anybody has that, I would love to have an expansion team. So looks like the Sonics are back. What other franchise would you like to see come back?
So yeah, it's the Sonics, like assuming it does happen. And if they got to this point, like the Board of Governors ain't saying no to $7 or $10 billion or however much it's going to cost. So like, yeah, the Sonics are going to come back. And it made me immediately think of like, I guess the Expos would be the one, Cab. Like if you wanted a franchise to come back, a lot of hockey fans would probably say the Nordique. The Colorado Avalanche don't want that because, they love selling those Nordiques jerseys. But I would say probably the Expos for me.
Listen, I think an NBA team in Montreal would be awesome. We all know that basketball, it is a grassroots community in Montreal. We've had 5 or 6 French Canadian players playing in the NBA. It's a great hub for basketball. The Expos had to leave because the ownership group couldn't afford to keep the team, and they had the great sell-off where Larry Walker.
Well, Jeffrey Loria, basically, he made it happen, the way that he did.
I mean, it went and they sold the team. They moved it to Washington. Yes, but I mean, is there a billionaire that either has private equity money or has their own money to pay $7 billion? So Montreal would be a cool expansion city. The NBA is just waiting to give LeBron James a franchise, and it looks like that will be in Las Vegas. Yeah. Las Vegas already has the Aces are great. The Vegas Golden Knights are Stanley Cup champions and have been to 2 Stanley Cups. I mean, having lived in Las Vegas and about to have a baseball team, like the city, like the locals really support at least the hockey club. Actually, no, the Aces too. I mean, they've won 3 or 4. Asia Wilson is the friggin' LeBron James of the WNBA, and that franchise sells out the T-Mobile Arena. So.
Is there enough people in Vegas to like support all these teams? Like, I know there's a lot of tourists, but like, how many people actually live in Las Vegas to support? What is it? Going to be four, like a team in each of the major sports now?
Well, listen, there are only 8 football games, and there are 41 hockey games, 41 basketball games. I guess 81 baseball games. That's. Well, I guess we'll see. But the seasons aren't – I mean, there's some overlap. The Venn diagram, I guess, with baseball and basketball is kind of like this, hockey too. But with so many – I mean, it's the tourist destination of the Western Hemisphere. And when the economy recovers, I guess, then there'll be some more disposable income for people to go watch games. And as far as the entertainment dollar, like Vegas is the entertainment capital, again, of this hemisphere. So there's a lot of different outlets to spend money, concerts, restaurants, etc. But the Golden Knights have no problem filling that building. It is packed, and the locals support the squad. Also, there's so many people from LA that descend into Vegas because it's only a 4-hour drive. So if you can't see a Rams game or a Lakers game or if you have no interest in seeing the Clippers, you can make a weekend or a 3-day trip to Vegas and go catch whatever the basketball team would be called, and a Golden Knights game or a UFC fight. I don't think economically that city will have a problem sustaining 4 major franchises and 5th with the WNBA. And then F1 too Vegas is prepared to absorb another professional franchise. So Vegas, Montreal, Lindsay, any other cities that you think should have a basketball team?
Vancouver. Hands down, Vancouver. Take them back out of Memphis and ship them back to Vancouver. Vancouver Grizzlies shouldn't have left. They belong there. I know you brought up Montreal, but I feel like, and people may hate this, if another Canadian team is going to get a franchise, should be Vancouver. Montreal is nice and close to Toronto, so if you want to watch an NBA game, just hop on over to Toronto. I know I've been there multiple times when they've had the preseason games in Montreal. That crowd, they show up. They also have a great basketball culture in Quebec. You're seeing a lot of players playing in the CEBL and making their way to the NBA as well. Chris Boucher, obviously a big notable one. But I'd love for the Grizzlies to go back to Vancouver. But when we talk about the expansion to Las Vegas and Seattle, which hopefully will happen, I'm all for more basketball teams. And then if we're only going to go slightly negative, my worry is about potential tanking. I think there is enough amazing NBA players and NBA caliber players to fill these 2 rosters out. But like, hey, is there enough star power? Are you going to have a Cooper Flag or a future LeBron James be able to be on every team to help bring in that fan base? But you have about 10 teams currently kind of not, but also actively tanking. So my hope is just that this keeps the compete high and they figure out tanking. This is all that I ask for in world. It's not asking for a lot, guys. But either way, I love that this has been a conversation so long for Seattle fans. So hopefully when it happens, I'm excited for that organization. And I would say that their throwback jerseys are some of my favorite. So we'll see what happens there.
They've got to sign Kevin Durant to like finish his career with the Sonics, just to like complete the circle, right? How cool would that be? Yeah. And also, like, I hope that they have better expansion rules for Vegas and Seattle than they did for Vancouver and Toronto when they came in the mid 90s. What was it like? They didn't want to give the Grizz or the Raps like the first overall pick for their first 2 years. The Raps even won the draft lottery, I think, in their second season. would have been the rights to AI, and they weren't allowed to have the first overall pick, so it went to Philadelphia. I mean, just awful. Like it's like they didn't even want the teams to have success, and obviously for the Grizzlies, they never did. But if the Raps don't get Vince Carter, like how different is Raptors history? We all know that conversation. So I hope they give a little bit more, like the NHL has in recent years with their expansion teams, some more favorable expansion rules so that these teams can get off to a good start.
Two quick things. One, tanking happens in all four sports. I mean, basketball just takes the bullets, but tanking. Dan just moved from Vancouver, and that team is actively tanking to try to get Gavin McKenna. And two, as far as talent goes, I'm of the belief that there will be no problem filling, the rosters, so 30 more roster spots, 2 more max players, because the NBA isn't just drafting from America; it's drafting from the world. We are about to enter the Wemby era, and he's from France. Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic. We are in that era. And Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, Luka hasn't won an MVP, but puts up MVP numbers. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Those are 5 players that are not from America. So, and it's just up to scouting departments and front offices to go find diamonds in the rough and do the due diligence to find talent globally, because the talent is there. And if they do enough work, then the talent will be playing for the 32nd and 31st and 32nd NBA franchises when those teams do join the NBA.
Unfortunately, to close this conversation, Linz, the most realistic team that's probably going to come back, okay, we got the Sonics, we got Vegas, but the franchise that's most likely to come back, it's not the Nordiques, it's not the Expos, it's not the Grizzlies. It's the one that nobody really wants to come back, I think, and that's the Atlanta Thrashers. Or maybe the Arizona Coyotes. One of those two is eventually coming back to the NHL. Probably. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, look, like the money just doesn't work for Canadian teams, right? Like to being in Vancouver, like there's nobody that's got $8 to $10 billion to bring the Grizzlies back to Vancouver.
Doesn't Chip Wilson have that much?
He's got his own issues. But
well, especially if you bring the team to Seattle, it's such a quick trip, as you see for the Seattle Mariners games, that everyone just kind of hops down there to from BC. So I know it probably won't happen, but I can dream, I can hope, and I can still also wear those throwback jerseys. So yeah, we will see what happens there. We also will see what happens with your guys' ProLine pick of the day. Wishing you both good luck, because the new ProLine app is here. Betting online with ProLine Plus and betting in store with ProLine are both easier than ever. More sports, more leagues, and more markets than ever, now with more ways to same game parlay your favorite sports. Dan, what do you have for us today?
Oh, we have to look at the game of the night. Matthew Schaefer. We're taking a walk down Narrative Street. The hometown boy playing in his hometown. Over 1,000 people in attendance. Friends and family to watch him. He's already burned the Leafs once this year, so I think he does it again. Give me an anytime goal for Matthew Schaefer against the Leafs tonight.
Very nice, sir. For entertainment purposes only, we are staying in the association, and Charlotte returns home from a 4-game West Coast road swing where they were 2-2. And the last time the Hornets played the Miami Heat, they lost 128-120. I anticipate another high-scoring game, and I'm looking at Norman Powell, who recently returned from missing 7 games due to a groin strain. Played on Saturday versus Orlando, racked up 20 points. My play is Norman Powell to score 20 or more points against the Charlotte Hornets tonight. Go on, Normie. Let's get those buckets. 3-level score.
And to end your day on a positive note, everyone, if you were terrified of robots, Dan found a video that is absolutely going to make you terrified today. Yeah, Dan, you're taking the heat on all of this.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have the video queued up.
Oh, my bad.
I saw a robot playing soccer, and he kicks the ball over to a person, and then the person kicks the ball away, and the robot immediately goes to attack this person like it's Gennaro Gattuso or something. And I'm just like, what is happening? We're gonna look back at this moment as the first moment where, okay, this is the moment we all saw it. The robots are taking over eventually. They're thinking for themselves. What is it, like Claude, that AI thing is like, it's already feeling anxiety. Like, what's next? I don't need these stories in my life. I'm terrified every time I see a robot.
You don't need these stories, so let's share them with everyone else so they can live in fear, Dan. Come on now.
I don't want to live in Terminator. I just want to watch it in a movie, like that's iRobot, fun to consume as a consumer, not to live in real life. Can we not bring this into our realities?
We're cooked. We are cooked. Once the dogs, like Boston Dynamics, once it had a robot to do a backflip, I want to say like 10 years ago, I'm like, oh yeah, we're done. And there was a demonstration in China recently where they had like not an army, but a whole group of robots doing synchronized dance moves and stuff. Like, oh yeah, it's a wrap. Either they're all going to be making iPhones, or they're just, again, humans will be batteries. It's going to be that scene in The Matrix where we're just grown just to be batteries for the robots.
Well, someone who will not be a robot tomorrow is Will Liu from Hello and Welcome, always bringing the energy and heat. He will be on to talk about the Toronto Raptors, their season, and their game against the Bulls. We will have World Baseball Classic reaction, where I may be a robot depending on what time I get home from whatever team is celebrating. And of course, we will talk about your Toronto Maple Leafs. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Off the Roster.
Hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more Off the Roster content, make sure to like and hype this video and subscribe to the Nation Network YouTube channel.